Beautiful day, Patriots. How are you? We're doing a little history lesson about our presidents of the United States of America. And there are a few people in the world that believe that we possibly aren't being told the whole truth of our history. Will, Regardless if it's our government history, our nation's history, life's history. We can see a lot of buildings around the world that are abandoned that it seems like there's amateurs that seem to be able to explain it even better than the scientists and scholars. They all like to stay in a certain group and not get out of that bubble for whatever reason. That's not what we're here discussing right now. But there are some people that think that, like I say, that there could be time warps in our history, and there's kind of ways that you can see those things around the world, even for the layman. But Now, in China right now, we've seen, now these are rumors, I've never been there. I'm just using the internet as the source, which we know we can't trust. But we've seen pictures in China of these very large cities that have been built over the past decades, 20 or so years, that would hold millions of people in them. But they've been vacant and nobody's in these cities. Now, if this is just hypothetical, let's just pretend they took all the children and brought them over to those cities and raised a few million people in a brand new city. They would very easily be able to hide all the past. They would be able to, in 100 years, go and destroy all evidence of past cities, let the grass and trees grow back over it. And those people that would moved into those new cities would never know anything about their past because they would only know what they were told. Yes? So that's just an example of how something like that could happen. Just saying an example of how it could happen. I'm not saying that is, but I do believe that I find the history of America kind of ludicrous in the sense that we would fight against United Kingdom, and once we separated from the United Kingdom, we would choose to call ourselves United States. It just seems a little bit close to me. I think I would try to use a name that did not seem so close to the people I was just fighting and breaking free that I felt like were tyrants over me. But that's just me. That's just how I feel. That's my opinion. But let's look at something with George Washington. He was our very first president in the United States. I had to do something a little different this time to break things up a bit for myself personally. So I thought, well, let's go look at our first president of the United States, George Washington. Yes, we even have a state named Washington. We have a capital named Washington. We have rivers, mountains, all kinds of things named Washington. George Washington was our very first president of the United States of America. And if we take, like we've been doing, and mirror Washington's name, we're just going to do a quick little version here. I'm not saying that it is, pay no attention to the red pin, I'm not saying that it is this. I'm just saying that it could be read this way. I'm just saying it could be read this way because to get somebody into let's say, a secret society, you would have to be able to teach them a language that's there in front of everybody's face so that they can understand how deep and old it goes. And also to be on such a level that the layman people, the slaves, have no clue. You couldn't even try to explain and teach them these things. Even if you tried, you couldn't teach them these things. So let's look at George Washington's name backwards. Notgnisaw. Again, I'm just saying it's funny how these things work out. We could read his name backwards. Just layman. I'm saying I know it can go much deeper than this. This is just a really quick, rough draft. Simple dimple, yes. But we could read it, no, and TG in the dictionary is task group. So no task group, NI, stands for night or naval intelligence. So far, it could be read. I'm just saying it could be read this way. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying it could be read. No task group, night, or naval intelligence. HS, as we've repeated and seen in many of the presidents, stands for here lies buried. But it also had a different meaning. It also is, in this case, HS, I know it's an acronym. HS is the acronym of in this case. So we could use either one in this case. No task group, night or naval intelligence. In this case, AW. What do you think AW is? Should we go look in the dictionary and see what AW is? Do you guys think it might be a little bit interesting, a little bit coincidental, a little bit of a womp, womp, womp? Well, let's see. AW, here it is. Used to express mild remonstrance, incredibility, or disgust. But it also is an abbreviation above water, or if we go down a little bit further, articles of war. AW, articles of war. Yes? So, above water, watch the water. Let's go ahead and look at that again then. This could be read. This could be read. What was AW? I already forgot. AW. Like I say, I'm tired. I shouldn't have done this one. Articles of war. Articles of war. So we could read, I'm not saying that it is this way. I'm just saying that if we took our very first president of the United States of America, we know one of the most famous points in all time in the whole story. We know that George Washington, as the story goes, was actually a terrible general. Now, any general is a wise and smart person. I'm not saying that. We all make mistakes. But as the story goes, if I'm not mistaken, George Washington never won a battle. And had quite low morale in his troops. But on the eve of Christmas night, as the story is, on the eve of Christmas night, he used a naval attack on the enemy. He crossed the Delaware River in the middle of the night. A very brave story. Crossing through icebreakers and icebergs, and it's extremely dangerous to cross any river at any given time. Then they walked and snuck up on the enemy in the middle of the night. And the enemy surrendered. Wow. So, if we go ahead and look at George Washington's name backwards, it could be read, no task group, night or naval intelligence